The opening scene of the film shows a cargo ship in the Philippine Sea. The cargo ship captain was ordering his men to dump barrels containing waste into the ocean, and Jonas Taylor, who sneaked into the ship, took pictures of this activity. He went to the captain's cabin and took pictures of the record book when a man entered the room. Jonas knocked the man down and escaped from the cargo ship into the ocean. Jonas's friends, Mac and Regis, arrived with a plane to help him escape, and once they landed, Jonas handed the camera's memory card to Mac. Jonas and Mac went to attend the 10th anniversary of the Oceanic Institute in China. Driscoll welcomed the guests and introduced Zhu Ming, director of the Oceanic Institute and brother of the late Su Yin, who died in 2021. Zhu Ming introduced Haigi, the megalodon they have captured. With Haigi, they learned about the trench where the megalodons live. Using a deep submersible vehicle that the Oceanic Institute has created, they plan on diving deep into the ocean to get to the trench. After the event, Jonas and the whole team watched as Zhu Ming dived into Haigi's cage, confidently saying that he had a special bond with the megalodon. The first time he called for Haigi, the megalodon was calm, but the same can't be said for the second time as Haigi attempted to eat him. Fortunately for Zhu Ming, he was able to leave the water before the megalodon could get him. Jonas admitted that he got scared for Zhu Ming and called the guy out for being so stupid as to expose himself to a megalodon. The team then headed to a marine research center called Mana 1 to prepare for their dive into the trench. Unbeknownst to them, Haigi, who was left unguarded in its cage, managed to escape through the institute and follow the team to Mana 1. After their preparation, 2 deep-sea vehicles called Dive 1 and Dive 2 went into the ocean. Mac didn't go with the team and stayed behind to lead the team, assisting the divers. Jonas was seriously talking with the team about a certain problem and realized that the problem was actually Mei Ying, who sneaked into the submerged vehicle. Jonas reprimanded the 14-year-old girl, wanting to bring Mei Ying back to Mana 1 as she didn't have a dive suit. But Mei Ying confidently showed the dive suit she had secretly packed while the team was having their pre-dive meeting. Defeated, Jonas made Mei Ying sit, and he tightly put on the seatbelt for the stubborn girl. While Jonas was busy with Mei Ying, the alarm was set off as they detected a megalodon coming from the shore. They were shocked when they discovered that it was actually Haigi that had escaped its containment area. The megalodon chased them as they went deeper. To escape from the MEG, the subs went past the thermocline layer, but Haigi followed them, and Zhu Ming had to use a device to distract it, effectively making the MEG leave for a while. But it was the MEG mating season, and since Haigi is a female MEG, more MEGs arrived, eager to meet the female MEG. Along with the MEGs is the apex predator itself, the biggest megalodon anyone has ever seen. The team watched in both awe and fear as the apex predator passed by. Instead of going back to the surface, the team decided to follow the megalodons into an unknown sector of the ocean. They kept on following the MEGs deeper into the trench when the subs detected a structure. There, they came upon a large underwater station where they detected another submarine. They decided to take a closer look and approached the station. Inside the submarine was a guy named Montez. He and his team were illegally mining underwater for any valuable rare earth minerals. When Montez saw the submarines approaching, he set off a massive explosion to prevent the research team from finding out about their illegal activities. This massive explosion ripped the thermocline layer and caused a catastrophic landslide in the trench, tapping the subs and sending the MEGs into panic. Due to the landslide, the subs were damaged and Mac lost connection to the divers. Mac decided to send a rescue sub to look for the team underwater, but they discovered that someone had sabotaged the sub. In Dive 1, Regis managed to fix the communications, and DJ told Mac that they got a signal to the sub. Mac informed Jonas about the sabotaged sub and the lost Dive 2. Hearing this, Jonas decided to wear the advanced suit the Oceanic Institute has created and walk to the underwater station. Dive 1 team left the sub and started walking the trench to look for Dive 2. Jonas walked ahead and was alarmed when someone held him from behind. He turned with his guns raised and realized it was Zhu Ming with the rest of the Dive 2 team. Now that the whole research team was complete, they walked towards the underwater station together and were met with a beautiful view of the trench. Meanwhile, in Mana 1, Mac told DJ and Jess about a mole in Mana 1 that sabotaged the sub to hide the illegal mining activity in the trench. He told DJ and Jess to always watch their backs, and the two agreed before leaving. Back in the trench, Lance was walking behind the team when a huge sea creature bumped into him from behind. The others looked back when they heard his screams, but the only thing they found was his helmet, indicating that Lance was gone. The team continued walking to the station with Mei Ying comforting Sal, who was still crying and panicking over Lance's death. Juming and Jonas noticed a large number of sea creatures swimming toward them at a rapid pace. They ran towards the station, but the creatures were too fast and too many for them to handle. The creatures dragged one of the pilots of the team, Curtis, which caused her helmet to crack. Seeing that there were too many of the creatures, Juming lit up a flare, whose light scared the creatures away, but attracted the attention of the MEGs. They ran towards the station to escape from the MEG, but Sal was already losing oxygen because of her suit. Juming was aiding her to the station, and when Sal saw Meg getting closer behind them, she pushed Juming away and accepted her fate as Meg ate her up. The team reached the station and was able to close the door just in time before Meg got to them. Jonas closed the door, but before the door could fully close, the cracks on Curtis's helmet got bigger until they completely broke, causing the pilot to explode due to the pressure. The remaining team members could only watch in despair as they lost another friend. They took off their suits and explored the station until they reached a room where they found the minerals the miners had collected. Mei Ying worked on the station's computer and got a signal to Mana 1. Jess received the signal, and she informed the team about the mole and the emergency escape pods, which were on the opposite side of the station. The team went to the north side and saw a closed gate ahead of them. Jonas and Juming attempted to push the gate up by themselves when it suddenly opened as Mei Ying pushed a button. They entered the room and checked the escape pods. Regis skipped back to the gate when it suddenly closed on its own. They learned that Jess was the one who closed it, as Jess admitted she had full control over the station and that she had been the mole all this time. Jess activated one of the pods and told Regis to shoot Jonas in the heart if she still wanted Mei Ying to survive. Hearing this, Regis pointed her gun at Jonas, who urged her to do it when he saw that Regis was hesitating. But in the end, Regis couldn't do it, and Jess let another pod leave the station. Jess then put Driscoll on so the latter could talk to the team. It turns out that Driscoll was the one leading the illegal mining, and in anger, Juming destroyed the TV radio. On Driscoll's order, Jess flooded the room the research team was in. Jonas decided to use the escape pod carrier to get to the area where they came in and do the override. He swam towards the power switch, but then noticed something in the water. Suddenly, a large creature appeared, and Jonas shot it dead. Jonas went to click the switch again but lost consciousness due to a lack of oxygen. When he woke up, he found himself getting dragged by Montes. Jonas and Montes fought against each other, and when Jonas managed to kick Montes down, he rushed to the server room to open the gate, but was stopped yet again by Montes. Using a light stand, Jonas knocked Montes down and clicked the switch to open the gate. He went back to the north side where the others were and checked them up. They then went to Montes's submarine, but were met with a problem as there was a hydraulic leakage. They knew they wouldn't be able to get past the MEGs because of the leakage, and they needed a distraction. Juming ran back to the server room and opened all the lights in the station to distract the MEGs before running back to the sub. Seeing the lights, the MEGs started attacking the station, and Juming fell into the water. Regis told Jonas to close the hatch, but the latter refused and still waited for Juming, who successfully reached the submarine just in time. With the MEGs distracted, the team safely piloted the sub out of the trench and came upon the hole in the thermocline layer. They reached Mana 1 and saw that it was now being controlled by Jess and the mercenaries. Meanwhile, in Mana 1, Mac and DJ were hiding in a room after finding out that Jess was a traitor. Jess was outside the room with mercenaries, waiting for Mac and DJ to come out. Since the door was their only escape, Mac quickly opened the room and DJ sprayed them with pepper before electrocuting Jess. They escaped from the other mercenaries, who started firing at them and jumped into the water. They climbed back up and sneaked inside again, but got captured by the soldiers. The mercenaries tied them up and led them somewhere when suddenly Juming came into the hallway with his hands up, blabbering in Chinese to distract the mercenaries. Jonas came in from behind the mercenaries and knocked them down. Regis and Mei Ying were by the port preparing the boat they were going to use to escape when they saw Megs approaching. Regis radioed the others to come, and they hopped on the boat to leave. On the other hand, Jess and Montes, who managed to leave the trench using the Oceanic Institute's advanced suit, were in the server room. Jess was on a phone call with Driscoll when the Meg broke through the glass wall and ate her. Montes escaped from the room, screaming in anger as he witnessed the death of Jess, his lover. Back to the research team, a Meg circled around them as they calmly rowed the boat, not wanting to trigger the megalodon even more. A group of mercenaries followed them on another inflatable boat, aiming to kill Jonas. Meg noticed them and decided to attack them first. The research team used this as a chance to speed away, while Montes tearfully reported what happened to Driscoll. Jonas and the team approached an island with tourists swimming in the water. They saw Driscoll's helicopter approaching the island, and they hurried to warn the tourists to get out of the water. But the tourists didn't listen. It was only when they heard a loud growling sound that they started panicking and ran into the water instead. The Megs arrived and were happy to feed on many humans. Meanwhile, Driscoll landed on the island and told Montes to deal with Jonas's team. Suddenly, they were attacked by reptiles, and most of the mercenaries got killed. Driscoll cautiously went back inside the helicopter to hide, but one reptile saw her and attacked her before dragging her. To protect Mei Ying, Jonas told the 14-year-old girl to hide in a cottage before he hopped on a jet ski, leaving the island and getting the Megs to follow him. While he dealt with the Megs, the others stayed on the island. Juming and Mac went looking for explosives, but got caught by the mercenaries. A while later, Regis and DJ ran into the room after escaping from the reptile that was chasing them. Seeing the reptiles outside, Juming distracted the mercenaries and poked DJ's stomach, making the latter back away in surprise and accidentally hitting the button to lift up the gates. This gave the team the opportunity to escape as the reptiles attacked the mercenaries, who started shooting around in panic, resulting in an explosion. Once they were safely outside, Juming and Mac went to where the helicopter was, while DJ called for help as soon as Regis finally got a signal. Juming and Mac reached the helicopter, and Mac successfully flew it after much struggle due to the reptiles coming at them. Mac shot the reptiles with a pistol grenade launcher, and Juming, who fell out, jumped back into the helicopter. On Mei Ying's side, a gigantic octopus appeared and started killing the other tourists. The 14-year-old girl was safely hidden inside a lone cottage, but when she saw a lady still on the water, she ignored Jonas's words for her and went to save the lady. Juming saw her and told Mac to lower the helicopter to save Mei Ying. But the octopuses grabbed the helicopter, and Juming grabbed the explosives before jumping. When Jonas saw what was happening on the shore, he went back to protect Mei Ying but was followed by Meg. The Meg attempted to eat him, but chains were stopping it, and Jonas used his feet to keep himself from falling into the Meg's mouth. Besides the giant creatures, Montes was also there to make things a lot harder for Jonas. Montes jumped onto the wooden bridge with his guns, ready to kill Jonas, who was hiding beneath the bridge. Jonas stabbed Montes's leg and grabbed the gun from the guy. Montes's blood dripped onto the ocean, its smell attracting Meg. When he saw the Meg approaching, Jonas dropped the gun and kicked Montes, feeding him to the Meg. Meanwhile, Juming was grabbed by the octopus, who took him underwater. Stabbing the octopus's tentacle, Juming swam towards the octopus's body, stabbing it with the jungle bolo with an explosive attached to it. The bomb exploded, but the octopus was still alive as its tentacle wrapped around Juming's leg again. Fortunately, Meg appeared and bit into the octopus's tentacle. The two sea monsters started attacking each other as they sank deeper into the ocean, and Juming surfaced from the water. Juming swam towards the fallen helicopter to save Mac, who was trapped inside. Jonas also swam towards the helicopter, grabbing a helicopter wing and calling for the attention of the apex predator itself to prevent it from going to Juming and Mac. The Meg jumped from the water, ready to gobble Jonas up, but the latter used the helicopter wing to stab the Meg with it. At the shore, the tourists started running away again when they saw a reptile coming. The reptile attempted to pounce on Mei Ying, but DJ shot it, celebrating when he successfully killed the reptile. Meanwhile, Hagi appeared and went straight to Jonas, Mac, and Juming. Juming went underwater and used his device again, effectively making Hegi leave them alone as it went after the dolphins instead. They went back to the shore and sat on the sand, resting after a big fight as they waited for the rescue team.